I just love these kinds of comments. I would love to help and share my experience because your videos were incredibly helpful for me. In just 2 weeks, they guided me to achieve a great score on CELPIP. And I love these kinds of comments, and I really love when you guys achieve good scores following these proven tips. Continuing on that path, today we will discuss CELPIP writing and the most important thing in CELPIP writing, which is your body paragraphs. The highlighted parts here that I will describe are the ones we're going to discuss, both in Task 1 and Task 2, with multiple examples. Body paragraphs obviously have the most amount of words. So if you get this right, you get 12 out of 12, which is what we'll focus on today. If you get this wrong, you lose a lot of marks. So let's see what we are supposed to do for the body paragraphs in the exam. Starting with question number 1. This is Task 1. It says, you recently visited a newly opened restaurant in your neighborhood to celebrate a family member's birthday, but you were disappointed with the service you received. You got 3 bullet points, okay? We have this whole answer. Now, there are things I want to talk about in the whole answer, but for this video, I'm going to focus on this body here in red. And this body is basically answering bullet point number 2, which is describe what aspects of the service were unsatisfactory. This is a very common CELPIP question in writing especially. Why were you unsatisfied or complain about something? So if you get this, which is a very high chance, how should you answer with the right body? And you can use this example for any type of question. I'll show you how you achieve the best marks with this format. So it starts with firstly, because we have to list at least 2 problems. So firstly, we'll go with the first problem, and we don't want to say anything generic like secondly for the second problem. So you use furthermore, accordingly, likewise for the next problem. But how do we know we're supposed to do 2 problems here? Well, that's where reading everything in the question is highly important. It says what aspects, which means you got to do at least 2. If it said 1 aspect, you could do 1. You could even do 2 because there's no restriction, but because it's plural, you got to do at least 2. Even if it didn't say aspects, I would at least want 2 points. So point number 1 and point number 2. Why? Because this is appropriate for your task response. It fully answers the bullet point, and the examiner can never say you missed some point from that bullet point. It also helps you with the words. It helps you reach the word limit. But you got to do it carefully. If you do too many details, you will exceed the word limit. So let's get into it. Firstly, we were left waiting over 20 minutes before anyone approached our table to take our order. Main idea. Express the main idea right away. Don't delay. Don't have an intro sentence. Just the main idea is needed because you have less words. Despite several reminders, if you could add details to your points, that's good. Now, at this point, your idea, your first complaint is done. You can just move on to the next part. However, if you read this, it feels like there could be more added, like something like this. This immediately made us quite upset. This is how I felt. This is my feeling based on this problem I was having. So because I felt it was incomplete, what I did is added a semicolon and continued with the sentence. This is a great way to add additional detail. Plus, punctuations like semicolons are advanced. They give you more marks. Now, this idea is complete, well explained in one sentence, which also has multiple clauses, making it a complex sentence and giving you marks for the compound complex sentences and range of vocabulary. Now we're going to start with furthermore. It's important to show the examiner, hey, furthermore, I'm moving to the next point. So there's my connector. And this is a different point. It's a different problem than this one. We don't want to be repetitive. Furthermore, the service, now this is about the service itself, lacked basic attentiveness and professionalism. Once again, you can see we right away mention the problem in the first few words of each point. Now to expand on this, I have for instance. For instance, the water glasses remained empty throughout, and we had to request cutlery twice. You can see there's a lot of imagination here and a lot of imagination here, and this shows realism. It's like these situations actually happened. This is a specific, it's detailed, and you're getting marks here for your task response and description. Plus, it's super organized, 1 point here, 1 point here, good connectors, And the range is amazing. Firstly, you have a complex sentence here. Then here you have a simple sentence, which is good because you're throwing in a good mixture. And you see how we have expanded this point here with for instance, which we did not do here. So we're showing the examiner a variety. Plus, we're using advanced words and phrases here, and we're using a bunch of adjectives too. Basic, remained empty, and more, as you can see here, despite several reminders. So it gives a good range and paints a good picture. So that's a tremendous body paragraph that would get full marks. This is what you got to do in task 1 bodies. Now let's look at task 2. Task 2 is the opinion question. It says your local government is deciding whether to build a new swimming pool or a new library in your neighborhood. Option A is new swimming pool. Option B is new library. We're going to pick option B. And in the intro, we give the opinion, what we prefer. In the body paragraphs, we explain that opinion. So we're going to look at body 1 for this video. And there are 2 best ways to do body 1. This is strategy number 1, where you talk about just one point and expand on that. This is strategy number 2. You talk about 2 points. Both are equally effective. I personally prefer the second way, having 2 points, because it's good enough detail for task response. And if the examiner doesn't like or agree with 1 point, you have the second point for backup. So I personally like the second strategy. We're going to look at both though. Now, the first strategy is in 3 parts. The first sentence gives the main idea, the main topic, the main advantage, because you're trying to explain the advantages of your chosen opinion. The second sentence mentions the feature, and the last sentence expands on it with more detail and description. Here's what I mean. Modern libraries are no longer just about borrowing books. They now function as essential learning hubs and digital access points for the community. So this is the main idea of this entire paragraph. And it is not in detail because that is the purpose of your topic sentence. Just mention the main idea so the reader has an idea of what you're about to say later. We also used a semicolon here just to make it more complex. And that's a good start. You don't have to do it, but it's a good complex sentence to start off. Now I'm going to talk about the feature of this modern library by going in more specifics. They provide free access to study rooms, computers, internet, and vast online databases for research and learning. This is so far not the benefit. This is just the feature. Like with the new library, with all this digital access and learning hubs, you get this. Okay, now here's the most important part of this body, the actual advantage. This allows students, job seekers, and low-income residents to access crucial academic and professional resources. So the advantage is the access that they may not otherwise afford, and it helping them stay competitive and informed. This is all 1 point where we have gone to 3 different steps. One is mentioning how this is an important thing. It's a digital access hub. This is what it provides, and this is the benefit of that idea. That's why we should have modern libraries. This is a little hard to do for some people because you're just building on 1 point and it's hard to have so many sentences to expand on them. But if you just want to do 1 point, follow this 3-step procedure. Okay? But what if we want to keep it a little simpler? Let's just do 2 points, so we have to say lesser things on each point. In that case, we would do our first 2 sentences right here for our first point, and then for the second point, 2 sentences. 4 sentences in total, simple, okay? The first sentence goes like this. A modern library will provide digital resources that enhance learning. So the idea is you got digital resources, so that will help learning. That's the main idea. You put that in the topic sentence. Free access. Now this is the elaboration of this idea. Free access to online databases, computers, and study tools. Advantage. Will help students and job seekers gain knowledge and skills they might not afford at home. So here you have your topic sentence. This is the feature, and this is the benefit. Same idea, 3 things, but in 2 sentences. Because now we need to move on to our next point. And this is about, they also offer community gathering spaces. This is our second point, that community gathering spaces will be there for social interaction, which was mentioned in the question. They also offer, and using words like also are important to show the examiner you're moving to another point. Also offer community gathering spaces that encourage social interaction. Right there, there's your topic sentence, the main idea of this point. Now we're gonna elaborate it. These areas host events, book clubs, and workshops. These are the features. This is what they do, the community spaces. And this right here is the advantage, that bring people together, fostering a stronger sense of belonging and connection. That's it. Once again, the same three-step formula for each point. Whether it's in one whole paragraph or whether it's in 2 sentences, you want to expand each point by describing the topic sentence, the feature, and the benefit at the end. Because this is your opinion, you want to focus on the advantage. If you're going in body 2, opposing the other side, go negative, show the disadvantage, if you're choosing to do that type of structure. But keeping it this way keeps it super organized, keeps a great flow, and you get a lot of marks for task response, coherence, structure, flow, development of ideas. You hit multiple areas this way. This is your strategy for doing the body paragraphs for task 2 and task 1. Make sure to follow it for the highest marks. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more details on how to do this even in a better way with our top strategies, with hours and hours of me going over this with multiple examples. All of that is included in our 15-hour CELPIP self-paced course that is also in the description. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.